What's up and welcome to FPL Today. I'm JNO, welcome to the channel. Hope you're all having a great day, and today we have another FPL transfer window episode for you, as one club in particular is just going ham on the transfer window and getting all their players in early, hoping to get them to gel together in pre-season. That club of course is Everton. But before we get into the episode, if you love FPL and want more FPL content in your YouTube inbox, consider subscribing to the channel and let's get on with the show. So the very first transfer we're going to look at today is Sandro Ramirez from Malaga to Everton for 5.25 million. Now, I'm going to estimate prices for these players. If you want to check that out, go and have a look in the description down below for my article on FPL Updates, the partner of the FPL Today YouTube channel, where I will talk a bit more about Sandro Ramirez's stats and his potential price in the FPL. But we are looking at what he could potentially do as a player in the Everton side, and if Romelu Lukaku does move on to another club, which looks likely but isn't definite, Sandro Ramirez may be their main man up top. Now, he comes in with a decent record from La Liga, but you never know how a player like this will transfer over to the Premier League. There's potential for him to be a real impact player for us, especially depending on the price he comes in at. In the 2016-2017 season for Malaga, he had 28 appearances in total. He managed to get 14 goals and 3 assists, which is a great return. 17 goals involved in 28 appearances, so there's only 11 games where he wouldn't have got you points, roughly speaking, if you don't count maybe hat tricks or double goal tallies or anything like that. His shots per game comes in at a respectable 3.1, and his key passes was at 1.1, which is also very respectable for a striker. He got 5 Man of the Match awards and managed to get an average rating of 7.07. So I'm excited because Sandro Ramirez could come in and be potentially that third striker we are all looking for. Last season it was quite a struggle to get a cheap third striker that came anywhere close to the exploits of, say, Jamie Vardy in the season before last season. So Sandro Ramirez could be that player, and Everton are starting to look like they could be building a very strong side. If they are, Sandro Ramirez could be the spearhead to that and the one raking in the FPL points. And before we continue on to the next player in this episode, who also has gone to Everton, check out the FPL Today t-shirt. Link is also in the description down below, where you can go and show your support for the channel and show everyone that the FPL is back and FPL Today is the place for your YouTube content. So we're talking about Michael Keane now also going to Everton, and this is a 30 million transfer. If we take Michael Keane and Davy Klaassen, who I talked about last week on the show, that's 50+ million that they've spent on 2 players, and they've also brought in Pickford. That's another 30 million. They're spending close to the £100 million mark now, and it's still very early days, so these players have a great chance to meld into the side with pre-season. And Michael Keane is a defender with Premier League experience who looks good enough to get an England call-up in that Burnley side. Potentially this means that Everton's defence next season is going to be Ashley Williams, Michael Keane, Baines, and when he's back and fit, Coleman. And that looks like a good defence to me. In the 2016-2017 season, he had 35 appearances, so he was available for most of the season. He got 2 goals and 1 assist himself. He's not the highest scoring defender, but if he's going to be getting clean sheets, those goals and assists will come in handy in certain game weeks. Shots per game was pretty low, but you can bring in other defenders for that if you're just looking for a solid Everton defender after the tough fixtures they have at the beginning of the season. He had 2 Man of the Match awards, and he got an average rating of 7.13, which is very good for a defender in a club like Burnley. So I'm very excited about this Everton side. Everyone has talked about how bad their fixtures are to start the season, but there's potential there for this side to do very, very well after that first 8 odd game weeks, because then their fixture list is going to ease up significantly, and hopefully by that point some of their players' prices have dropped a bit as well. So you should be ready to bring in Everton players, and who knows, they might perform earlier than we're expecting. And the final bit of transfer news, and to be honest, I know there's more transfer news to even cover. The transfer window has just really sped up recently, but it's Jay Rodriguez from Southampton to West Bromwich Albion for 15 million. Now, we need to talk about this because Jay Rodriguez wasn't on fire last season. I believe even the season before that he wasn't on fire. If memory serves me correctly, it was either 2013-14 season or 14-15 season, but it might have even been earlier than that. It just seems that long ago. There was a period where Jay Rodriguez was almost an FPL must-have, because he had a period at Southampton when the likes of Lallana were still there, where he was scoring lots of goals and was undervalued in the FPL game. There's potential that he could return to that form at some point if he manages to avoid injuries and get a certain amount of starts. There is of course the problem of Rondon being in that West Brom side. Are they going to play two up front? Are they going to rotate the two? So we don't know if Jay Rodriguez is nailed on, but for 15 million you'd think you're bringing him in to be a first team player. He may play on the left or right of a striker or just behind. All of that we need to look at pre-season to try and figure out. I may do a video on his previous stats to show how good he was in one of the seasons, but last season his stats weren't too bad considering how much game time he got. He only had 9 starts officially and he got 5 goals and 2 assists. That's 7 goals he was involved in. He had a lot of sub appearances though, so maybe you'd have liked the numbers a bit higher than that. His shots per game was only at 1.4 and his key passes was at 0.3. Man of the match awards he got 2 and his average rating was pretty low at 6.5. So if we're just going off of last season's stats, you're not really going to be looking to bring in Jay Rodriguez. But if he can return to the form he had, and maybe I should have looked it up before I recorded this video, of the season where he was almost an FPL must-have, he's definitely one to be ready to bring into your side before his price rises too much. Anyway guys, thank you so much for tuning in to today's video. If you've enjoyed it, go and hit that like button for me. And if you want updates of when these videos are going out live, check that notification bell. Also, if you want to, you can go and support me on Patreon. I love my patrons and the support they give me. I've been J&O, this has been FPL Today, and remember, it's all about the game.